Hey everyone, looks like we've got a fuel tank missing out of the back of this Prado, and I'll tell you why. Hey, it's Anthony 4x4 diesel, and this time it's 4x4 petrol, because this is a V6 petrol, and I just want to give you a bit of information why your fuel gauge might be inaccurate once the vehicle gets a bit older, in any vehicle, but in particular this is a Toyota Land Cruiser LC 120, you know, Land Cruiser 120 Prado, Toyota Prado in Australia, 120 series, 2004, only about 220,000 Ks, and we've got some problems to the point the fuel tank had to come out. Now this is very rare in the diesel, because diesel fuel is oil, it's like a lubricant, and that's probably why you don't have the problem. Looking at the fuel tank here, right? This is the top of the rear fuel tank, and this is the sender unit. So this is what happens. Now there's two sender units, and this is where people that say, oh, I'm glad I got the V6 are saying, oh, maybe I shouldn't have got the V6. There is a number of problems that happen on the petrol Prado that don't happen on the diesel. So, you know, people like to just ignore that factor and just think, oh, I'm glad I got the V6, just for those few people, but it actually doesn't really work out. But I don't want to argue about it, it's just what it is. 14 litres per 100 Ks versus 10 litres per 100 Ks, all depends how many Ks you do, and they've both got maintenance that I would say it's pretty even, that you wouldn't be worth arguing the point. Some people are going to go, oh yeah, but injectors, but if you add up all these other things we've talked about in videos, it's the same as a set of injectors or more. This doesn't happen on diesels, right? So what you have here, right, wear and tear. Have a good look at that sender unit there, okay? That's what happens in petrol engines. Can you see the wear there? Can you see where that contact is? Right, just see where it runs, and then I'll just bring it around on this angle again. Have a bit of a look-see, right? Now, I'll give you the good news and the bad news, right? There's two of these. They're hundreds of dollars each. There's one in each tank, so both tanks probably need to be dropped. You might have a slight solution changing one of them, so you might get away with, you're gonna have to spend hundreds of dollars in labor to get this out, plus the part. So quite a few $100s, probably under 1,000 if you're lucky, depends where you go. And you want to go somewhere good to get the job done right the first time. And of course, the easy one is to do the rear tank first. That's what's happening with this one. And then we'll just see what happens. See, genuine Toyota parts, that's what you want to use. This is the easier tank to get out. Of course, easier once you've run your fuel lower. There shouldn't be too much fuel left in this tank. But of course, you might need to drop the other one as well. You can see the other one's quite a bit more work to drop down. Access is quite difficult. In this case, there's a heavy duty guard there that needs to be removed, and of course all the usual tank straps. It's kind of maybe a two-person job unless you've got a stand. But look, what matters is about that fuel sending. What happens is it's basically sending the wrong resistance. You can actually test this. Okay, you just need, I think it's an ohm meter or something it's called, I forget, it's bloody decades since I used stuff like that. And you can test your fuel gauges and you can test your sender units to see what resistance, look up the specifications. I can tell you already though, I have never seen a problem with a Prado fuel gauge in any of the Prados whatsoever. But with the sender units here, it happens all the time on the petrols once they get a bit older. You're doing a demo here, mate, there you go. I'm going to try and do a demo while I'm mucking around. Beautiful. But look, basically what's happening is you've got some wear and tear there, and as this moves, it's not actually telling you what it's meant to tell you. And I don't know the specs on this. I don't know if you do, mate, but whatever, not really. But look, if we have a look, and sometimes you can have a look and you'll just see as you move it up and down, instead of being smoothly changing the resistance, it'll be all over the place, you know? So, of course, testing it does waste a bit of time, because that means you'd need to pull the tank out. You then need to test it to find that, you know, here we go. We've got a connection here. Let me bring it there. I'll just move it. Okay, so all the way, hang on. Okay. I think there we go, all right. So, and sometimes testing things will allow, you need to get a really good connection to do this, obviously. But anyway, you get the gist of it, people, right? So that's what you do. And sometimes, you know, testing things, you might go, oh, you know, looks all right, not too bad. At the end of the day, I'm just giving you from the experience that don't waste your time, don't pull the tank out and test it, and then you've got to order parts, and then you might use aftermarket parts because you can get one down at or whatever it is. Just use genuine parts. Just order the part, order two of them, drop both the tanks, put them both in there, and you'll be good for another 15 years. That's around about the amount of time it takes. Sometimes they'll play up before that. Sometimes you'll get lucky and it'll last longer, but just wanted to show you what the problem is. Two tanks, two sender units, Sounds like about $1,500 worth or something, doesn't it? Something like that. So that's half a set of half an injector kit. There you go. So, and there's a number of other problems we won't talk about now, because those V6 owners that always do the, I'm glad I got the V6, and there's nothing wrong with the V6. It's an awesome engine, but there's precautions you need to know about, and that's why I urge everybody to subscribe, turn the bell on, and get into the playlist on the V6 as well. The playlist was started after those videos in that playlist. There's a lot of older videos talking about problems on the V6, not a lot there. We've got some groups on Facebook for the engine, #1GR Forever Crew. You might get some information there as well. And of course, there's a group for all the other engines as well. #1KZ Forever Crew, #1KD Forever Crew, etc., etc. If you're in Australia, Oz Prado Crew, and if you're in Australia, if you've got a Hilux, this is not Hilux related, but with the Hilux is a different story. That's why you want to be on Oz Hilux Crew. There's a problem. That one is in the fuel gauge up on the dashboard. Okay, so I haven't seen issues with the sender unit on the Hilux, but I'm sure like all other petrol engines, you're going to get this sort of problem eventually once they get a bit older, or you'll be lucky. But on the Hilux, there's a problem in the cluster that needs to be resoldered. Bada bing, bada boom. We've talked about it in other videos. We'll catch you on the next video. Thanks for watching. Hit the like button if you learned something. See ya. That's what you want, mate. Beautiful, nice, shiny new one. That one's going to work. So, you know, beautiful.